Have you ever felt that quiet, unsettling moment when a woman who once seemed distant suddenly starts acting differently around you? Nothing obvious changes, no dramatic confession, no clear signal you can point to, and yet something in your body reacts before your mind catches up. A subtle tension, a chill, a sense that her presence now carries weight it didn't before. This isn't imagination, and it isn't coincidence. Men are often taught to look for loud signs, clear words, bold moves, obvious interest. But attraction, especially from a woman, rarely announces itself that way. It reveals itself subtly through shifts in energy, behavior, and emotional rhythm. Your intuition notices it first, long before logic can explain it. That's why it feels confusing. You sense something is happening, but you don't yet have the language to describe it. What you're experiencing is psychological awareness kicking in. Her behavior is changing because her internal state is changing. Attraction doesn't flip like a switch, it unfolds quietly. And when it does, it creates a contrast so sharp that your nervous system feels it immediately. Today, we're going to break down that shift, not with guesswork or fantasy, but with psychology. Because once you understand what's really happening beneath the surface, that confusion turns into clarity and you'll never ignore that feeling again. One of the biggest mistakes men make is expecting attraction to be obvious. Clear words, direct statements, undeniable moves, but female attraction doesn't usually operate on volume. It operates on subtlety, on timing, on patterns that reveal themselves only if you're paying attention. Women are not conditioned to express desire the same way men are. From an early age, they learn to communicate interest indirectly, through behavior rather than declaration. This isn't manipulation, it's instinct. Attraction for a woman often feels safer when it unfolds gradually, tested through small signals instead of bold confessions. That's why, when a woman likes you, her interest often shows up in ways that are easy to dismiss if you don't know what you're looking for. A change in how she listens, a shift in how often she engages, a new warmth in moments that used to feel neutral. These aren't random fluctuations. They're emotional signals adjusting to a growing internal pull. Men who don't understand this psychology assume mixed signals mean confusion or games. In reality, they often mean interest, trying to stay controlled. Her mind is balancing desire with caution, curiosity with self-protection, and that balance creates subtle expressions instead of loud announcements. Once you understand that attraction is rarely direct, you stop waiting for permission and start observing patterns. That's where real clarity begins, not in what she says, but in how her behavior quietly changes around you. One of the earliest and most reliable signs of attraction appears in how a woman communicates with you, not in dramatic messages or sudden declarations, but in subtle shifts that feel easy to overlook if you're not aware of them. When a woman begins to like you, her attention sharpens, and her communication reflects that change. You may notice she starts asking questions she never asked before, not out of politeness, but out of genuine curiosity. She wants to understand how you think, what you value, what matters to you. Conversations that once stayed on the surface begin to carry more depth. There's a sense that she's listening with intention rather than simply responding. Another powerful signal is memory. She remembers small details you mentioned casually, stories you assumed were forgotten, opinions you shared in passing, moments that felt insignificant at the time. Later, she brings them up naturally, often with a light tone, as if it's nothing special, but psychologically it is. Her mind has prioritized you. This isn't coincidence or friendliness. The human brain doesn't store unnecessary information without reason. When attraction is present, attention becomes selective. Your words carry more emotional weight to her, even if she never says it out loud. These communication shifts are often the first doorway into her interest. Quiet, precise, and deeply revealing once you know how to recognize them. When attraction begins, the body often reacts before the mind fully understands what's happening. This is why some of the strongest signals of interest don't come through words at all, but through movement. Psychologists call this behavioral mirroring, and it's one of the most consistent indicators of genuine attraction. You might notice that she starts matching your pace, your posture, or even your tone of voice without realizing it. If you lean back, she leans back. If you slow your speech, she follows. These actions aren't deliberate. They're subconscious attempts to create alignment and comfort. Her body is synchronizing with yours. Eye contact is another key indicator. When a woman is drawn to you, her eyes tend to linger just a fraction longer than usual, not in a way that feels obvious or forced, but long enough for you to feel noticed. Combined with small gestures like slight fidgeting or adjusting her posture when you speak, these signals quietly reveal internal excitement. Most men miss these signs because they're waiting for something overt, but attraction doesn't announce itself through grand gestures. It slips through the cracks of normal behavior. Once you learn to read the body instead of just the words, you begin to see the truth that language often hides. The body rarely lies, especially when attraction is involved. As attraction deepens, it moves beyond observation and begins to show itself through emotional investment. This is the stage where a woman doesn't just respond to your presence, she actively finds ways to become part of your inner world. And she often does this so naturally that it feels effortless. You might notice she reaches out without a clear reason, a message to share a thought, a moment, or something that reminded her of you. These interactions aren't necessary, yet they happen anyway. Psychologically, this is important. It means your presence has crossed from situational to personal. You're on her mind even when you're not physically around. She may also start remembering your routines, habits, and subtle preferences, not to impress you, but to create smoother, more comfortable interactions. Conversations begin to flow with less friction because she's already anticipating how you think and feel. This is emotional alignment forming in real time. To someone unfamiliar with these patterns, this can look like friendliness, but the difference lies in consistency and intention. Emotional investment requires energy, and people don't invest energy where there is no interest. When a woman intentionally weaves herself into your emotional landscape, she's signaling something deeper than casual attention. She's creating a shared rhythm, and attraction grows strongest inside that rhythm. One of the most overlooked signs of attraction is vulnerability. Not dramatic emotional confessions, but subtle moments where a woman lets her guard down just enough for you to notice. This is a powerful signal because vulnerability is not given casually. It's offered selectively, where trust feels possible. You may notice her laughing nervously at something she says, briefly questioning herself, or sharing a small insecurity she wouldn't normally reveal. These moments might seem insignificant on the surface, but psychologically, they carry weight. She's testing emotional safety. She's observing how you respond when she shows a less polished version of herself. This isn't attention seeking, it's connection seeking. When a woman likes you, she wants to know whether you can handle her openness with calm, respect, and emotional intelligence. Your reaction matters more than your words. A steady presence, a relaxed response, or simple understanding communicates strength far more than reassurance ever could. Many men miss this signal because vulnerability doesn't look like attraction. It doesn't flirt, it doesn't impress, it whispers. But those who recognize it understand something crucial. Trust often comes before desire fully reveals itself. When she allows herself to be subtly vulnerable around you, she's not just opening up, she's inviting you closer, quietly, deliberately, and with intention. Attraction is not defined by isolated moments. Anyone can show interest once. Anyone can be warm on a good day. What truly reveals a woman's feelings is consistency, the repeating pattern in how she shows up over time. This is where interest becomes unmistakable. When a woman genuinely likes you, her behavior develops a rhythm. She doesn't appear randomly or disappear without reason. Her presence begins to align with your life in small but noticeable ways. She checks in regularly. She follows up on conversations. She remembers what you said last time and builds on it naturally. Consistency is psychological commitment in its earliest form. It shows that you occupy mental space even when you're not actively engaging with her. And mental space is valuable. People protect it. They don't give it away casually. Men often confuse mixed signals with attraction, but true interest rarely feels chaotic. It feels steady. Even when she pulls back slightly, the underlying pattern remains intact. The tone doesn't vanish. The connection doesn't reset. This is why consistency is more important than intensity. Strong attraction doesn't always look dramatic. Often, it looks reliable, predictable in the best way. When her actions form a pattern that keeps returning to you, it's no longer coincidence. It's intent. And once you learn to track patterns instead of moments, clarity replaces confusion. As attraction grows, it naturally expresses itself through proximity. A woman who is drawn to you will often create opportunities to be physically or situationally close without making it feel forced or obvious. This behavior is rarely planned. It's driven by emotional pull rather than logic. You might start noticing her appearing in the same spaces more often. She lingers a little longer when conversations could easily end. She chooses seats closer to you or positions herself where interaction feels natural. These moments are easy to dismiss as coincidence, but repetition reveals their true nature. From a psychological perspective, proximity builds familiarity, safety, and emotional bonding. When a woman feels attracted, her subconscious seeks closeness as a way to strengthen connection without risking direct exposure. Being near you allows her to feel your energy, observe your behavior, and maintain emotional contact. This isn't about control or strategy, it's about comfort. The presence of someone we're drawn to regulates emotion and creates a sense of ease. That's why proximity often feels calm rather than intense. Men who rely only on verbal signals miss this entirely. But those who observe spatial behavior understand something important. Attraction pulls people closer, long before words ever do. When she repeatedly places herself within your orbit, she's revealing where her attention naturally wants to be. Long before attraction becomes verbal, it speaks through the body. Body language is a second language women communicate fluently, especially when emotions are involved. And when a woman is attracted to you, her physical behavior subtly shifts in ways that are difficult to fake. One of the clearest signals is orientation. She turns her body toward you when you speak, even if others are present. Her posture opens rather than closes. She leans in slightly, reducing the physical distance without consciously thinking about it. These movements signal comfort and engagement. Eye contact also changes. You may catch her gaze holding just a moment longer than necessary, then breaking away softly rather than abruptly. Across a room, her eyes may find yours more often than chance would allow. These are brief moments, but they carry emotional intent. You may also notice self-touching behaviors, adjusting her hair, touching her neck, or resting her hand near her face while listening. These actions aren't meant to seduce. They're signs of heightened self-awareness that naturally arise when attraction is present. What makes body language powerful is its honesty. Words can be chosen carefully. The body reacts instinctively. When a woman's posture, eye contact, and movements change around you, she's communicating interest without saying a single word. And once you learn to read this language, attraction becomes far easier to recognize. Attraction deepens when emotional resonance forms. This is the stage where a woman doesn't just hear what you say, she understands how you feel. And when she reflects those feelings back to you, it's one of the strongest signs of genuine interest. You may notice her bringing up not just your stories, but the emotions attached to them. A passion you spoke about briefly, a challenge you mentioned once, a moment of pride or frustration. She remembers how it made you feel, not just what happened. This level of recall is intentional, even if she isn't consciously aware of it. Psychologically, women process attraction through emotional depth. When she likes you, her mind begins building emotional continuity. She connects present moments to past conversations, creating a shared emotional history. That's why interactions with her begin to feel layered rather than casual. This is where attraction separates itself from friendship. Friends listen, attraction resonates. It seeks alignment, not just understanding. When she mirrors your humor, acknowledges your worries, or supports your ambitions in subtle ways, she's signaling emotional attunement. Emotional resonance is quiet but powerful. It creates the feeling that you're being seen rather than simply heard. And when a woman reflects your inner world back to you, she's revealing that you've earned space in her emotional landscape. As attraction strengthens, it often expresses itself through quiet acts of protection, not dramatic gestures or possessiveness, but subtle awareness and care that goes beyond casual friendliness. This is one of the most misunderstood signals because it appears gentle rather than romantic. You may notice she senses when your mood is off before you say anything. She asks questions not out of curiosity but concern. She might try to lighten the atmosphere, offer support, or steer situations away from unnecessary negativity. These actions are rarely obvious, yet they are intentional. From a psychological perspective, protective behavior reflects emotional investment. When a woman is attracted, she begins to see your well-being as connected to her own emotional state. That connection creates a natural desire to preserve harmony and reduce stress around you. Men often misinterpret this as simple kindness or friendliness. The difference lies in selectivity. She doesn't offer this level of attention to everyone. It's directed, personal, and consistent. This behavior is not maternal, and it's not obligation. It's a form of attachment expressing itself quietly. When a woman takes notice of your emotional state and subtly acts to protect it, she's revealing a deeper layer of interest, one rooted in care, awareness, and emotional connection rather than surface attraction. One of the most confusing experiences for men is when a woman who seemed engaged suddenly becomes quieter or creates a bit of distance. It's easy to assume this means disinterest, but in many cases, silence is not a withdrawal. It's a test. When a woman feels attraction, her emotions don't remain static. She may instinctively pull back slightly to observe your response. This isn't manipulation, it's evaluation. She's gauging emotional steadiness, confidence, and self-control. How you react to absence often tells her more than how you act when she's present. This creates what's often called the push-pull dynamic. The pull builds connection, warmth, and closeness. The push creates space just long enough to see if the connection holds without constant reinforcement. Men who overreact by chasing, demanding reassurance, or showing frustration often weaken attraction without realizing it. Men who remain calm, consistent, and grounded communicate value without saying a word. Their emotional stability becomes attractive. Silence in this context is not rejection, it's information gathering. When you understand this, you stop personalizing distance and start observing patterns instead. Attraction thrives where confidence remains steady, even when communication briefly slows. When attraction is present, a woman doesn't stop observing you, she begins evaluating you. This evaluation doesn't happen through formal questions or direct confrontation. It happens through subtle tests woven naturally into interaction. Most men experience these moments without realizing what they are. You may notice her challenging your opinions or playfully disagreeing with you. This isn't about conflict, it's about composure. She's watching how you hold your ground, how you respond to pressure, and whether your confidence remains intact without becoming defensive. Emotional stability is deeply attractive. Another common test involves attention. She might delay a response or create a small gap in communication to see how you handle uncertainty. Do you remain relaxed or do you seek control? Her subconscious is measuring emotional independence. Physical tests also appear: light, brief touches, standing slightly closer, holding eye contact just long enough to feel the tension. These moments are probes, checking your awareness and your ability to reciprocate calmly rather than impulsively. Emotional tests go deeper. She may share a minor insecurity or personal thought, watching closely to see if you respond with respect and understanding. This is a trust filter. Attraction deepens when vulnerability is met with calm presence. These tests are not games. They are instinctive assessments. A woman who is attracted wants to know if you are emotionally strong enough to handle connection. Men who recognize these tests and respond with composure often become the ones she feels safest and most drawn to. There's a moment in attraction that's difficult to explain but easy to feel. When a woman likes you, her energy subtly changes in your presence. Her laughter sounds warmer, her voice softens, her gestures become more expressive. She's not performing, she's resonating. This shift happens because attraction heightens emotional awareness. When she's around someone she's drawn to, her nervous system becomes more alert and more engaged at the same time. That mix creates warmth, liveliness, and emotional presence. You feel it before you understand it. This is why some women seem magnetic without saying much. Their energy communicates interest more clearly than words ever could. And this amplification isn't constant. It appears most strongly when she's interacting directly with you. Men often try to analyze attraction logically, but energy operates on a different level. It's felt, not measured. When a woman's presence becomes brighter, more attentive, and more emotionally tuned around you, it's a sign that something internal is being activated. Recognizing this shift allows you to trust your perception. Attraction doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it simply changes the atmosphere, and when you notice that change, you're witnessing desire expressing itself in its most natural form. What most men never realize is that when a woman truly likes you, her mind and body are in constant silent negotiation. Every glance, every pause, every small adjustment in behavior is part of an internal process weighing desire, safety, curiosity, and emotional compatibility. None of this is spoken, yet all of it is communicated. Attraction is not a single decision. It's a progression. A woman doesn't simply feel drawn and stop thinking. She observes how you show up over time, how you respond to pressure, how you handle distance, attention, and emotional moments. Her interest grows or fades based on how steady you remain through these shifts. This is why attraction often feels like tension rather than certainty. Her actions may fluctuate slightly, but beneath that movement is a continuous assessment of alignment. Do your actions match your words? Does your presence feel grounding or demanding? Can you hold space without trying to control outcomes? Men who misunderstand this try to force clarity too early. Men who understand it allow attraction to unfold naturally. They don't chase signals, they respond to patterns. Once you see attraction as a silent negotiation rather than a mystery or a game, everything changes. You stop reacting emotionally and start moving with awareness. And that awareness is what transforms interest into genuine connection.